I would like to invite two of my colleagues. I'll try to keep a surprise element, and I won't say what would be the session about, but I can promise you it would be interesting as well. So please keep seated. Wahid, the stage is yours.
Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. Thank you so much for joining. Really apology, we are running a bit short of time, but I'm sure it will be worth it because I welcome you to Tech Bites while we talk about the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, and honorable guests and speakers, assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. My name is Wahid. I work for Citibank NA. I work in Bangladesh, where we talk about crazy ideas and how to make them happen. So, when we talk about making things happen, we need to talk about the future. And one of them is this semiconductor, because it's already a part of our daily life. How? I'm not an expert in it, but I can talk about the usage. For example, this device or the Wi-Fi that connects it. Let's say we talk about the EVs a lot, the future of cars, or different medical equipments. All these devices, they run through various chips and circuits which are powered through semiconductor. Let's say we want to buy an iPhone. One of the things that we check is whether it's an A15 or A16 or A18 bionic chip. And they keep getting reinvented every single year. And hence, semiconductor is like a brain to almost majority of modern devices and equipment that we use. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the question is, why do we think that Bangladesh can be the next possible destination to build a semiconductor firm? Very glad to say that we have 3 regional and local subject matter experts on this field from Ernst & Young, one of the big 4 accounting firms in the world, and Ulka Semi, which is the first ever semiconductor firm in Bangladesh. So I would like to welcome the 3 distinguished speakers one by one, starting with Mr. Abhishek Gupta. Can we have a round of applause, please? Mic. ওনাকে mic দিতে হবে.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My job is going to be very easy because I'm here to get only one question answered, which is you must have all heard about food, cloth, and shelter, which is the 4th item which is getting added in the last few years. Semiconductor. Today, if you really see from anybody who's walking the streets to somebody who's sitting in a air-conditioned office, everybody has an element of a chip somewhere or the other, whether it's your mobile phone, or it's a camera, or it's your television, or it's this equipment. Everywhere there is a chip required. And in the last few years, that's how the industry is turning out to be. Even your automobile, where you move around in a public transport, or whether you're sitting at your home or you're working in the office, everywhere there is an element of semiconductor. I will just talk about very briefly, what is it that has made all of us talk about semiconductors, and that too, why Bangladesh has a huge opportunity. I'm very glad that only a few months back, we were actually having a discussion in Dhaka with the help of BIDA, talk about semiconductors. And it was only a few months back where we were highlighting that there is a huge potential. And within a few months, we've realized that the country has made so much progress. There are so many developments which have happened, and thanks to BIDA and, of course, the government, that they've already formed a working committee. They've already started thinking of a roadmap. MCCI has done a beautiful roadmap. So I think things are definitely looking positive. And why they are looking positive and why there is a huge potential. If you look at the whole spread of the value chain of semiconductors across the world, when you talk about the basic item, which is silicon, is somewhere mined, silicon dioxide is mined somewhere in the US. It goes to Japan to create ingots. From Japan, it goes to South Korea to create wafers. From South Korea, it goes to Taiwan to imprint those wafers. From there, it would go to Malaysia to do the assembly and the testing and the packaging. And then it would go to perhaps China or somewhere else to manufacture, to put in a mobile phone or somewhere else, something else. Similarly, if you look at the equipment or the machinery, that may be coming from Europe or US, which are the hubs for fantastic R&D for many, many years, and therefore the machinery may be coming from those parts of the world. If you talk about the IP, that IP may somewhere be getting generated in Europe for an application processor, which may go to the Silicon Valley for the software to design the chip. And then finally, the commercialization of the chip may again happen in somewhere else in the world. What it basically goes to show is that diversification of geographies, diversification of suppliers, wires, is actually something which gives a lot of opportunity to Bangladesh. Localization, because obviously the demand is huge in this part of the world especially, is another reason why there's a huge opportunity. And finally, of course, cost. We are a much more affordable country when it comes to these kinds of manufacturing, which could be done very, very easily given the human resource dividend we have got. So I think given these three things, there is a huge opportunity for us to play a big role in the whole semiconductor ecosystem. Now, it's not easy. It's going to be very, very difficult. The world is doing whatever they can. As we speak, each of these countries are offering more than 200,000 crores of incentives, Bangladeshi taka. Almost every year they are rolling out these kinds of incentives. Every country is creating millions of skill development opportunities for their people to be trained in various parts of the value chain of semiconductor. Every country is putting in almost more than double of what their R&D budgets used to be till a couple of years back, now are going into semiconductors. These are the Herculean efforts which, as you see, these four, not only developing, but also developed countries are putting in more. US has been obviously ahead of the curve always. So their CHIPS Act is actually designed just to make sure that the semiconductor industry stays within the US and also the R&D keeps happening within the US. So we are competing with tough giants, and therefore we need to obviously make it faster. We need to do it smarter. Obviously, the good point is that we have got to learn from the mistakes. We've got to learn from the successes. We've got to learn from some of the neighbors who are mentioned here on the slide, and that's how we can leverage. We can cut short the time. We can cut short the cost, and of course the effort. And then, what are the things as Bangladesh, based on our experience as Ernst & Young, we work in more than 150 countries as we speak, and we work extensively with the government as well as the private sector, especially in the electronics and semiconductor domain. What are those quick, low-hanging fruits which Bangladesh needs to look at? And as I said, I'm really glad that in the last few months, the needle has really moved. We have already taken so many steps. BIDA has formed a working committee. Industry associations are already thinking a lot on what needs to be done. But I think if you really have to do a quick action planning, obviously monetary incentives is one very important part. That goes without saying. Although monetary incentives is not enough, or this is not something which will attract that itself will not attract the industry. But that is certainly something, a hygiene factor we need to look at. The second part, as I spoke about, is the skilling. We need to make sure that all the institutions, technology institutions, higher education institutions, do include an element of semiconductor in their existing courses. And not only include that, change the course content, but also have additional courses, skilling courses, purely designed towards R&D, purely designed towards assembly, testing, and packaging. And mind you, I'm only talking about assembly, testing, and packaging because that's again a low-hanging fruit. Setting up a fab at this point in time is going to be super difficult. I think that could be our long-term bet. But for the short term and the medium term, we are only talking about something where we have a dividend, where we can quickly leverage what we have. And the third element will be research and development. I think that's again an area where our workforce, our skilled people within Bangladesh, of course, as well as outside, they can come together and they can actually help in the whole knowledge which Bangladeshis have created across the world to bring it back to Bangladesh and do really productive R&D for this particular sector. And I think from the government's perspective, as I said, I'm really glad that the government has already taken these initiatives to set up a very senior level team or a committee to actually take care or to monitor how this whole ecosystem will be developed over the next few months, let alone be years. So I will stop here. Just wanted to share this whole perspective of why semiconductors and how we can take it forward to make it a really positive development for Bangladesh. And I have my colleagues who's going to talk about more. Thank you. Thank you.
Please.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good afternoon. Let's see if it moves to the next page. All right, it's coming back to the first page. I'm Mashuk Rahman, and I'm representing GreenQuest. That's a consulting firm based in California. That picture probably was taken 50 years ago or something. But this is real me. That's not AI generated, but it was taken way, way back at some point. So I'll cover a few very simple items, and because we have shortage of time also. So $1 trillion, that's a huge number for any industry. The projection for semiconductor industry is that it will hit $1 trillion plus by 2030. And if we look back in 2024, it was right about $645 billion. So the growth, it's excellent growth, right? And whenever an industry is growing at that level, at that rate, it creates a lot of opportunities because there are a lot of reasons behind it why it's growing at that rate. But the surprising part is there is new projection that just in 2 years, by 2032, it will grow to more than $2 trillion, primarily driven by AI and the demand of AI on semiconductor. Also, quantum computing. So those new things, I mean, all of us hear about AI. We know a little bit of AI here, a little bit of AI there. But most of us don't know how much demand AI has on semiconductor. And that's creating that particular growth exponential just in 2 years. It will be more than double. So it's AI and, as I said, quantum computing. What that demands, the projection is semiconductor industry worldwide will need more than 1 million additional resources by 2030. The question is, so that's another opportunity. The question is, where do you get all those resources? Right now, there is shortage of resources in semiconductor industry worldwide. It's everywhere you don't get enough resources. Even in Bangladesh, actually, you don't get enough resources, where semiconductor industry right now is really, really tiny, almost, you cannot even see. It's at that level. So there are opportunities. That's what I'm pointing out in just single pages. The other opportunity that's coming up for the semiconductor industry is all the geopolitics. I'm not talking about the recent tariff stuff, all those gobbledygook, so let's not talk about that. Even before that, the geopolitics created a huge opportunity for new entrants to get into the picture. The semiconductor industry supply chain is pretty global. Taiwan, China, Korea, Malaysia. Overall in Asia, there is a huge concentration. Of course, US, Europe, all over. So it's worldwide. Now, the geopolitics where Bangladesh can get the advantage is geopolitics is putting pressure on China to look for options to have manufacturing in some other places. So China has reasons to move manufacturing to other locations. They are already doing that. They're already looking into that. US has reasons to have manufacturing in other locations other than China. But they have been depending on China for so long, I would say, for so many years. And that's true for all the other regions. Now, countries are not sitting tight. If you look into the resources number I threw in there, 1 million plus, that's the demand in next 5 years. Malaysia has a plan to develop resources for semiconductor industry. India has a huge plan. Vietnam has a huge plan. So countries already has plans, they're working on it. But if you're paying enough attention, what you will find out, Malaysia had a plan to create certain number of resources by 2030. They're already saying, we don't have that many people. We cannot create that many resources that fast. So there are already gaps, even for a country who was planning to develop certain number of resources. So I'm just pointing out all the opportunities that's being created for semiconductor industry. Now, what Abhishek was pointing out on the last page, all the collaborations that's needed. And I'm just putting it in one sentence, which is there must be massive collaboration between public and private sector, which is the government, universities, different agencies, policy making, of course, so that's public and private, plus diaspora. There is not a single country in the world who succeeded in semiconductor industry without their own diaspora contributing heavily, participating heavily, because you need that know-how. Semiconductor is not simple. Before I came over from California, I was talking to a friend who is in biotechnology, extremely successful, very well-known, very well-respected. And he was talking to some people in Bangladesh for this summit. He's not here. So I was telling him, how come no one understands semiconductor? He was saying, Mashuk bhai, it's so easy for me for biotechnology, but because somehow it relates to health and issues which everyone can understand. Semiconductor, it's tough. But I'll go to the next speaker, Anayat Rahman, who will give you the real picture from the ground. It's tough, but it's doable. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. I think we are told that I was given very little time. So let me go very quickly. My name is Mohammed Inayat Rahman. I'm the President and CEO of Ulka Semi. I don't know how many people heard about Ulka Semi. Not that many, at least few hands are there. Ulka Semi is the largest semiconductor company in Bangladesh. Yesterday, our Honorable Dr. Yunus mentioned about that we have a crazy idea. Bangladeshi has crazy idea, and then they implement it. Looks like he was telling my story. I'm sure there are a lot of stories like that. I started my journey with 4 engineers. Before I started my company, 2 companies could not succeed. So there was no good example to follow. And all my friends in Silicon Valley thought that's a crazy idea to do semiconductor in Bangladesh because it's a very specialized knowledge and Bangladesh do not have that. So we started our journey. There was some hiccup. It was not an easy journey. But today we have 500 engineers, 4 locations in the world: Dhaka, Bangalore, India, Silicon Valley, Toronto, and Ottawa, Canada. We are trying to add 2 more offices. One is Netherlands, one is Malaysia. Most likely, pretty soon, we are exploring those things. Now, the thing surprised me actually, the resilience of the people. People actually worked very hard. Actually, out of 500, you'll be surprised, about 200 Gen Z population I have. And every single day I'm learning so much from them, full of energy. I'm motivating them. We are trying to create ourselves into the state of the art. The most interesting part is around 2010, 11, 12, we actually started with one of the largest semiconductor company makes microprocessor. Only 2 companies make microprocessor that goes to laptop. So you can imagine which company is that. So that company start pushing us to the advanced technology. Because I was not, honestly speaking, I never thought I'll be able to come this far in my wildest dream. But things happens. The story is that company started pushing us into the advanced node. So they had to go to Washington, D.C., to US Department of Commerce, Export Control Division. A lot of people already know about it. They had to get permission whether Bangladesh can have access to that technology. So they got the permission. And that changed many things for us. We got access to TSMC. TSMC makes, just for you guys information, we talk about AI, we talk about a lot of things. 100% all AI chips made in TSMC, Taiwan. No other country in the world. What happened? With that advanced node, we got relationship with TSMC. We have the access to the latest technology, 2 nanometer. And Ulkasemi has a huge team working in Bangladesh and outside Bangladesh on 2 nanometer. As a matter of fact, I just signed a contract day before yesterday for 1 nanometer. This is the most advanced technology in the world. Just to let you guys also know, TSMC has only 21, 22 company they call Design Center Alliance, DCA. We are one of them. Not that many company in the entire planet Earth has the DCA capability. So you can imagine that how far we have come. We are working with the top almost 20 semiconductor company in the world. We don't have any customer in Bangladesh. And we are planning to grow close to 1,000. So now here's the question we have. Of course, initially there's a challenge. Any investor interested in semiconductor, please talk to me. So we did first design service on the front-end part of the design. And I'm thinking we are well into getting into packaging and testing without any problem. So that is something to discuss. So what we do, we actually mapped all university. Because what is happening, I think Mashuk mentioned that this is the opportunity for Bangladesh to grow because we missed a lot of window. Let's not talk about it. But moving forward, when it goes to trillion or $2 trillion economy and entire planet Earth, world will need another 1 million resources. Question is, every country is trying to build that resources. Malaysia was trying to do 60,000, now they gave up. They say probably maximum they can do 20,000 resources. Because of the population dividend, they don't have the way we have. So question is, how can we take advantage of that? So what we did, we mapped Bangladesh. There are almost 130 universities that is offering electrical engineering or CS graduate. And every year, almost 28,000 is coming out. So there's a huge population. So we can easily create a steady stream of resources for semiconductor industry. Or if anybody starts any business here, packaging and testing, or multinational company like India went to AMD, TI, Intel, any company comes here, resource is here. You may not get in other countries. So what we did is map the entire Bangladesh. To my surprise, Dhaka has close to 60 universities that offers electrical engineering courses. And then outside Dhaka, we have another like 70 plus universities. So we are reaching out to all universities in Bangladesh. And we are taking different steps because resources needed. If you go to Ulkasemi blog, go to YouTube and find out, type Ulkasemi, you'll find a lot of things we are trying to do. Because government moves very slowly. We've been telling government for many years. So we thought that we have to do whatever we need to do. So we basically creating blog, we are creating resources. Many university has no VLSI course offered. There's no professor. There's no, every place I go end up complaints and everything. So we went to the student directly. We are telling that we are going to provide you all the information. You study, you come take a test, we'll hire you. We have 500, we are trying to add another 100 pretty soon. So we are almost there. I think what we need from the government is policy. Like all those universities, one of the things that there is no good internet connection. They're very poor connections. So maybe Starlink will make a difference. I think it's expensive, but we have to find a model that how we can manage that cost. But this is very important that government has to give tax incentive, government has to give cash incentive. This is what's happening in other countries also. And then support resource development. This is such a huge resource, all the university. There are a lot of things going on. And I must tell you that our advisor is very supportive. He showed up in my office. I didn't even know who he was. He just called and showed up. This is amazing. And of course, Ashik came, Nahian came, everybody came to my office. So we're getting a lot of support. So definitely government is working towards that, and we're working with the government. So thank you so much because of time constraint, I cannot go any further, but I'll be more than happy to share my story in future some events. Thank you.
We look forward to hear from you again very soon, but we have a very